I'm actually going to go to Joel Fitzgibbon, who we have on the line. We had him on the show on Wednesday, and he gave us a bit of a heads up that something was going on, that it was silly to pretend that nothing was going on. Joel, how's it going? What's your reaction to this bloodbath? I mean, 3 ministers resigned from their positions today. You yourself resigned from your position as Chief Government Whip.
Yep.
How are you feeling about that?
Oh, I'm feeling fine about that. I put my hand up. I was of the view that the party, and remain in the view, that the party's got huge challenges ahead of it. We've been, as I said on Wednesday, I think, on a primary vote of 30, 31, 32% for 2 years now. And you can't go to an election on a primary vote that low. And my view was that we'd stand a better chance at the next election under a different leader in Kevin Rudd, and with some tweaking to our policy directions. I gave the caucus an opportunity to agree or disagree with me, and unfortunately, not by a big number, I've got to say, but unfortunately they decided to stick with the Prime Minister.
Well, tell us that, because there was a few people missing in that room. Bob Carr, Foreign Minister Bob Carr, was one of them, and there were rumours that he was preparing to throw his support behind Kevin Rudd. Do you feel like do you feel like they were dudded? Your chances for Rudd, were they dudded, Joel?
Well, there were 2 votes missing, but Kevin always made it clear that he'd only come back on the basis that a quite large majority of the caucus, asked him to come back.
Was Bob Carr going to put his support behind Kevin Rudd, and would that have really changed things?
Well, if Bob Carr had, I let Bob speak for himself, but if Bob Carr had been there and Dick Adams had been there, at best it was 2 additional votes. We only had about 47 votes, and 51 was the magic number, but Kevin wanted it to be far more than 51 as well. What we did was we created an environment in which the caucus was forced to either take the offer or reject the offer, and unfortunately they rejected the offer.
Do you think Simon Crean set out to deliberately sabotage any chance of Kevin Rudd returning?
I don't, because it cost him his cabinet position, and I know how much he loves playing that role, so I don't sign up to the conspiracy theories. But
so it was a brain explosion?
Well, I'm a bit perplexed, so I'll put it a different way than you. A bit perplexed as to why he went out and fired the starter's gun when we knew, those of us more intricately involved, that Kevin, we weren't in a position to tell Kevin that his preconditions to coming back had been met.
Hey, Joel, I just want to ask you, though, is this a case, do you think the Labor Party, have they now chosen to lose the next election rather than have Kevin Rudd come back? Do you feel like that's what they've chosen here?
Well, to be honest, I do. People say, well, you didn't even put a candidate up. You can't really test the caucus mood until you concentrate it on a looming challenge, and that's what this week was all about.
So you're saying the Prime Minister would prefer to lose the next election than swallow her pride?
Well, let's not focus on the Prime Minister. Let's focus on those who had an opportunity to vote, would have had an opportunity to vote if our support had been stronger yesterday. But many of these people are on margins in their electorates, of far less than 10%. And, if we go to the polls on the current primary vote numbers, they will all lose their seats. So you just got to ask yourself, what is going on?
So is that sad then, that they've preferred to put, I guess, a personal situation, who they work under, ahead of what you think is in the best interest of the party or the people who support Labor and want them to win the next election?
Well, no, what makes it so weird is they're not putting their personal position first. They're potentially sacrificing themselves by coming to the conclusion that, somehow under the current leadership, things will improve. Now, I never.
But who they work with, they've chosen that they prefer to work under Gillard rather than Rudd. And you're saying they're making this weird self-sacrifice, like kamikaze politicians?
Well, I think the problem is we're still operating on a 100-year-old architecture in the Labor Party, where many people are influenced by outside forces. They're not their own people. They're influenced in what they do by other people, and that has a big impact on leadership challenges. So this is about the party, and I'm trying to give the party the best chance of winning the next election.
You've just told us tonight that you think that they've chosen to lose. Why do you think your colleagues can't admit that? It seems obvious to everyone else.
Well, 2 points. Remember, around 47 people chose the alternative, or would have chosen the alternative if we'd taken it to a vote. So, that's almost half the caucus, obviously. So we're not talking about the whole caucus there. But I make the point again, some of these people are influenced by outside forces, including trade unions. And, they have patronage, and they're not always making the decision all on their own.